My name is Monsterboy Roc, and welcome to the show. And welcome to 2019. You know, I bet there's a lot of things that you're looking forward to this year, whether they be happening at the beginning of the year, or at the end of the year, or even in the middle of the year. Well, I'm looking forward to something this year, and it's actually happening tomorrow. It's the return of a special show that was a huge inspiration to my drawings and my passion project as a whole. Well, okay, I wouldn't say the actual show is returning, it's not, but the characters are returning in another show. These characters are from an animated series that aired on Disney Channel that was a huge inspiration of mine, and it's called Phineas and Ferb. Now, in case you don't know what Phineas and Ferb is, I'll talk about it for a few minutes and let you all know all about it. Two stepbrothers named Phineas and Ferb, are on summer vacation. 104 days of summer vacation to be exact, though I don't really think anybody ever had 104 days off of school. I know I never did, but nevertheless. They want to make sure that this summer vacation is the very best one possible. So what do? Well, like any child would do, of course. They build roller coasters in their backyard. In addition, they build beaches in their backyard. Also rocket ships to outer space, stadiums, portals to other dimensions. You know, like normal children do. But their older sister Candace always tries to bust her brothers to their mother from building all of these wacky inventions. But every time she drags her mother to one of Phineas and Ferb's inventions, just before she's able to see it, the inventions end up disappearing out of thin air. How, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. While all that is going on, Phineas and Ferb's pet platypus named Perry, yes, they have a pet platypus despite the fact that platypuses are illegal to own as pets in the United States. Cartoon logic is fun logic. Well, anyway, it turns out Perry is a secret agent that works with the organization without a cool acronym. He always reports to Major Francis Monogram, and he always tells Perry that Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, Perry's arch nemesis, is always trying to take over the entire tri-state area with his special innator inventions. So Perry has to stop Doofenshmirtz, and he always ends up destroying the innator at the end of the episode, but not before it shoots off some kind of laser that ends up getting rid of Phineas and Ferb's inventions. And as you can see, both of these plot lines connect. Phineas and Ferb, despite the fact that it kind of quartered itself into a limited run with at least 104 episodes, actually ended up staying for like 224 different segments. That doesn't just include episodes. That also includes hour-long specials, several hour-long specials, mind you, as well as a TV movie. They even had a talk show spin-off for a while. A talk show with Phineas and Ferb interviewing random celebrities like Jack Black and Ben Stiller, even Miss Piggy. But because the show was so creative and fun, nobody really minded it. And nobody really even minded either that the show ran way past 104 episodes. In fact, I actually think it's one of, if not the longest running Disney Channel shows, beating out shows like Kim Possible, That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place, and of course Your Nightmares Tonight. It was also a huge cultural phenomenon at the time of its run. In fact, it was actually a franchise when the show was actually airing, which not many Disney Channel shows did. Yeah, you had stuff like Hannah Montana that cleared the shelves all across Walmarts and Targets and all that stuff, but Phineas and Ferb was another show that somehow made a ton of merchandise. From books to CDs, as it was a musical show that had songs in every single episode. There was also toys. There were even fruit snacks. That's right, Phineas and Ferb fruit snacks. Now, the show was created by two guys named Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh. These two worked on a variety of different shows throughout quite a few decades. Shows like SpongeBob SquarePants, Rocko's Modern Life, Family Guy, King of the Hill, even Postman Pat. Make of that what you will. They first conceived the idea of Phineas and Ferb in 1993 while they were working on Rocko's Modern Life. They pitched it around to networks like Fox Kids, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network, but they thought the show was too complicated and they didn't pick it up. When Swampy Marsh moved to England, Dan Povenmire still went around California to try and pitch the show to a network. He eventually made his way to Disney Channel, and at first they thought the show was kind of complicated as well, but a year later, Disney called Dan and said that they would like to have a pilot produced. He called Swampy, Swampy came back to California, and they produced the pilot of the show. And Disney liked it, so they finally ordered the show, and when the show finally premiered with the High School Musical 2 premiere on August 17th, 2007, it took 14 years to get on the air. But at the end of the day, it managed to stay on the air for practically 8 years, finally concluding its run on June 12th, 2015. Though technically they did have a one-off special afterwards, so technically it was November 9th, 2015, but hey, who's counting? And it's no wonder this show became such a huge hit. The characters were likable, the animation was colorful and very stylized, and it was also very funny and creative, and it was just an all-around really good kids show at a time, where kids shows were not really all that spectacular. But since Phineas and Ferb became such a big hit, Disney created other shows that were just as big, if not bigger, than Phineas and Ferb became. Like Gravity Falls. That was a big show for a long time. And it still is a very talked about show, and I love both shows. Now, of course, Phineas and Ferb ended, but Dan and Swampy's career haven't ended, thankfully. They actually created another show for Disney called Milo Murphy's Law, which is about a 13-year-old boy that's the great-great-great-great-grandson of the man that had the Murphy's Law namesake. And that's kind of the whole show. It's just the whole shtick of, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, but Milo is very optimistic and he has a backpack filled with stuff to help him get out of all kinds of situations. It's just as funny and creative as Phineas and Ferb, and I love that show just as much. And it's definitely a much more story arc-based show than Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb was very episodic, in which, an episode would come and then the next episode usually didn't follow. I mean, they did it sometimes, but not all the time. Milo Murphy's Law, however, was kind of the Gravity Falls route, where it kind of had a story that, spread across throughout the whole season. And the story arc is actually going to end tomorrow, which is the point of why I'm making this video. It's called the Phineas and Ferb Effect, and it's going to be a crossover with Phineas and Ferb characters. That's right. After more than 3 years off the air, Phineas and Ferb is back. And in honor of it, and because Phineas and Ferb was a huge inspiration of my own passion project, The Secret Beauty, I decided to honor Phineas and Ferb's return by actually drawing some of the characters from Phineas and Ferb. After all, it was a huge inspiration of mine. So, that is what I'm going to do in this video today. In fact, not just this video, I'm actually going to do 4 drawings, and I'm going to split them up into 4 different videos. So, let's get started. Now, in order to do this drawing, as well as all the other drawings, because I'm actually going to start off with a drawing of Phineas and Ferb themselves, I'm going to use my black Sharpie, my fine point black Sharpie, and you're probably wondering, why am I only using this Sharpie? Don't I need some others for the colors? Well, I'm actually going to color each of the drawings digitally using my Clip Studio Paint Pro software. But, of course, in terms of the actual outlining, which I am going to do traditionally, I still need my ink-seeking prevention paper that I will place under the piece of paper that I'm going to be drawing on, as well as all the other sheets of paper that I'm going to be drawing on, so the ink doesn't sink through. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? So I'm all set to go, and in order for me to draw the characters as close as possible, it doesn't have to be perfect, I'm going to pull up a picture of each of the characters on my phone and just kind of draw for that. Not the same pose or anything like that, just, just to make sure I get the proportions, as close as possible. So, we're going to start with Phineas since, I have him up. So, here we go. Okay. So, we're going to start with 2 ovals for eyes, One of them's going to be kind of cut off. Then we're going to draw his face, which is triangular. Draw his teeth. Draw his mouth. There we go. Draw his ear. And what's interesting is that each of the characters' ears have sort of a 3 for their inner ear. Phineas has 3 freckles. Now we'll draw his hair, which will look something like this. There we go. Now I'm going to color his eyes black, but when I get into the software, I'll recolor them blue. Just so you're not staring at blankless eyes. Okay. Now I'm going to draw his shirt. Draw one of his hands. Draw his other hand, sort of waving at the audience. There we go. Now I'm going to keep his shirt just kind of... It's supposed to be striped, but I'm just going to keep it blank for now. Okay, draw his shorts. Draw his pockets. There we go. Draw his legs. Then I'll draw his shoes in just a second. There we go. His shoes kind of look like this. There we go. And there we have the outline for Phineas. Now I'm going to draw Ferb. Start with his 2 eyes, and his eyes are different sizes. He has sort of a rectangular nose. Drawing his eyeballs. Again, gonna recolor them blue when I get into my art software. Draw his mouth. Draw his ear. Number 3. Now draw his hair. There we go. Now I'll draw his collar. I'll draw him waving as well. Draw his hand. There we go. Draw his other hand. Now I'll draw his pants. Some sort of belt, so we'll draw 4 rectangles. Then I'll draw his legs. And finally, his shoes. Since his shoes are black, I'll color this in with the black Sharpie. Draw a button in the middle. Finally, I'm going to draw a line for the ground that they're going to be standing on. Like I said, the characters are not going to be completely on model, but hey, that's just my style. There we go. And there we have it. The outline for the drawing with Phineas and Ferb. Now all I have to do is scan them into my computer, and then I will color it digitally using Clip Studio Paint Pro. Here we go. So first I colored in Phineas and Ferb themselves. In order to make sure their coloring was exactly right, I pulled up more pictures of Phineas and Ferb on my computer monitor. Then I moved my pen and mouse towards the pictures, obtained the color from each individual part of the character, and then used the fill tool in this Clip Studio Paint Pro program to color each of the portions of the characters. Then I colored in the backdrop, and I added in some triangles and rectangles, which represent, of course, Phineas and Ferb's heads. Then I signed my name, and the drawing is complete. The finished drawing of Phineas and Ferb. Now, if you want to see my drawing of Phineas and Ferb, all you have to do is go on to Instagram.com/TheSecretBeautyDrawings or Facebook.com/TheSecretBeautyDrawing. That drawing will be there along with all the other Phineas and Ferb drawings that I'm going to be drawing in these videos. Stay tuned for part 2, in which I am going to draw their sister, Candace. Take care now.